Welcome to this explainer. You know, we live in an era of absolutely unprecedented connectivity, but it definitely comes at a heavy and often completely invisible cost to our neurology. So today, we're going to explore a fascinating modern experiment, the 30-day digital fast. Let's unpack the science, the real struggles, and the literally profound transformations that happen to our brains when we finally just put the screens down. Okay, let's set the stage with a very personal question. Think about it for a second. When was the last time you spent 24 hours entirely offline? I mean, no feeds, no scrolling, no phantom buzzes in your pocket, right? For most of us, the honest answer is either years ago or honestly, maybe even never. We are just perpetually plugged in, and that baseline is exactly what we're challenging today.
All right, here is our roadmap for the journey. 1. Your brain on social media. 2. Week 1, the withdrawal phase. 3. Week 2, the fog lifts. 4. Weeks 3 and 4, restoration. And 5. Your brain after 30 days. So part 1, your brain on social media.
Before the fast even begins, we have to recognize that our constant digital connection carries a huge cognitive toll. We're talking screen fatigue, burnout, and totally shattered attention spans. Every single day, we force our brains to process thousands of micro pieces of information hourly. It's a tweet here, a catastrophic news alert there, and then boom, followed immediately by a cat video. All of this creates this pervasive brain fog and a low-grade background anxiety. Your brain is essentially running a daily marathon without ever being allowed to stretch.
Now, the exact scientific goal here isn't just to take a break or feel a bit more relaxed. We are aiming for true cognitive restoration. This is a very active biological process. By removing that constant digital stimuli, you're actually allowing your brain's baseline focus, memory, and emotional regulation to completely reset. You are literally repairing the very foundation of how you process the world.
Which brings us to part 2. Week 1, the withdrawal phase.
So looking at the first 7 days, man, it is a total shock to the system. On days 1 and 2, you experience a massive dopamine drop. Your brain is frantically reaching for those quick chemical hits from likes and comments, and it's finding absolutely nothing. By days 3 to 5, this usually manifests as peak FOMO and intense isolation. And then by days 6 and 7, you might actually see anxiety spikes. Your brain is essentially throwing a neurological tantrum because its favorite pacifier is gone.
To put it bluntly, the first few days just suck. It is a classic dopamine withdrawal, complete with the irritability, the restlessness, and that totally overwhelming urge to check your phone just one more time. But understanding that this is a physical, neurochemical response, and definitely not some personal failure of willpower, is absolutely crucial to surviving week 1.
Think of your dopamine receptors like a thermostat that has been cranked way too high. If you keep your house at 90 degrees all the time, a normal, perfectly comfortable 70-degree day is going to feel freezing. Because you've spent months or maybe even years flooding your brain with highly engineered digital dopamine, the everyday, simple joys of the real world, they barely even register. So this deeply uncomfortable first week is simply the necessary process of resetting that thermostat. You're basically enduring the cold so that you can learn to feel warmth normally again.
All right, let's move into part 3, week 2, the fog lifts.
As we push into week 2, the frantic mental static finally starts to clear. A scattered brain feels a lot like a web browser with 30 tabs open, music is playing from one of them, and you have absolutely no idea which one it is. But in week 2, you actually start closing those tabs. You transition into a focus state. You're no longer rapidly context switching, and your thoughts actually begin to elongate and connect.
And the actionable stakes become so obvious in your daily life, especially when your working memory improves enough to easily hold on to simple thoughts. Look, we've all experienced that frustrating moment of walking into a room and completely forgetting why we went in there. Often, that's just because our working memory is totally overloaded with digital debris. But by week 2 of the fast, with that debris cleared out, your brain's RAM is freed up. You retain information from meetings better, you can follow long conversations without your mind wandering off, and yes, you actually remember what you went to the kitchen to grab.
Now for part 4, weeks 3 and 4, restoration.
By giving up the scroll, you get this massive boon of time back. The average person spends upwards of 3 hours a day on social media. Now, over a month, that's nearly 100 hours of your life. In weeks 3 and 4, you effortlessly reallocate this massive chunk of time. You suddenly have the bandwidth for real deep work, genuine rest, offline hobbies, and actual face-to-face socializing. The things that naturally nourish your brain. As the pacing of our mind slows down, we start experiencing these incredibly tangible neurological benefits that completely counter all that initial burnout. Your sustained attention span returns. I mean, you can actually read a book for hours without twitching for your phone. Your sleep cycles become remarkably deeper. Your mood stabilizes because you're finally free from the algorithmic roller coaster of online outrage. And that heavy, pervasive screen fatigue, it just entirely vanishes.
And finally, part 5. Your brain after 30 days.
Now, you don't have to live in a cave forever, but you definitely can't just go back to your old habits. To ensure that thermostat doesn't crank right back up, here is the blueprint. Step 1. Set intentional tech boundaries. Things like no phones in the bedroom. Step 2. Curate your necessary feeds. Unfollow the accounts that drain you and strictly keep what brings you genuine value. And Step 3. Schedule regular mini detoxes. Something like a digital Sabbath. Maybe just one day a week entirely offline that ensures your dopamine baseline remains steady and your working memory stays sharp.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to really challenge how you value your own attention and focus. We fiercely protect our physical health, our bank accounts, and our homes, but we so readily give away our cognitive energy to endless scrolling. So ask yourself, if you gave your brain the gift of 30 days of digital silence, what incredible ideas, deep relationships, or profound peace might you finally have the bandwidth to discover? Thank you so much for exploring the science of the digital fast with me in this explainer. Now the experiment is entirely in your hands.